All right, this is an extra special treat for me because I've interviewed people from all walks of life, and I've never interviewed anyone this young. My guest is 17 years old, and he happens to be my son, Adrian Gandara. And he's 17, but he's already out of high school because you skipped a grade when you were a kid because school was boring and you hated it. You hated the teachers, you hated the kids, and it's all because you were just a little bit more advanced and you wanted a little bit more of a challenge. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Adrian, what the heck is it with you and all this discipline and all this extreme stuff? What's going on in your head?
I just like doing crazy things. I mean, it started like I like to run, as you know, and I've just been running my whole life, like ever since I was little. And it started with that first time that I couldn't ride bike with you and my older brother. And I just decided I would run with you. I guess that would be the origin that there's just no explanation to. And then after that, I mean, I just liked running, and I've been influenced by people and people online, and I just like doing crazy things and running long distance. But that first thing, I don't know what made me say, I'll run with you guys instead of biking, because I couldn't bike without my training wheels. And since then, I mean, I've just had good guidance too. But I've just been disciplined. I just like sticking to something that I've started and just having something to reach for. Like, I feel like if I'm kind of just cruising throughout life and there's nothing for me to do, that I wouldn't be disciplined. And I feel that sometimes because my discipline does drop sometimes. And I always realize that it's when I'm not specifically chasing something. But when I have goals, whether it's athletic or whether it's financial, I'll work towards it, and I won't stop.
It makes you push harder.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that story when you were 4 or 5? 4 years old. I found this rocky path that we could ride bikes on, and Adrian was little, and he had training wheels. And your brother Ryan, don't hit the table; it's going to make noise.
Okay.
Your brother Ryan, he could ride because he was off training wheels. He was probably 6 at the time. Yeah. And I said, hey, Ryan, there's this great path. We can ride bikes. It's full of rocks. And he thought that was pretty cool. So we were going to go do it. And you said, I want to come. And you're the annoying little brother. Back then we only had you two. So it was just you as a little one. And I said, Adrian, it's full of rocks. Your training wheels are going to get stuck. You can't do that. And you said, I'll run. And I said, we're going to do a few miles. There's no way you're going to go do this. A 4-year-old jogging next to 2 guys on bikes going way faster. And you insisted and insisted. And I said to your mom, I said, we'll be right back. He's going to see in a minute how tired he's going to be, and he's not going to be able to. He's 4 years old. He can't run a 5K. And we got out there, and you started jogging. We kept going, 1/4 mile, 1/2 mile, 3/4 mile. And I looked down at you. I go, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And you just kept jogging like nothing. I'm fine. And you kept going. I couldn't believe it. We're like past a mile, probably hit about 1.5 miles. I was in shock because I would have been winded and I was an adult. And then we came back and you were like, yeah, it was fine. It was fun. And I told your mom, I go, that's not normal. There's something in them that's weird. Most kids can't do that. And so the next thing that happened, we started jogging around the neighborhood. Yeah. And usually I'd be on a bicycle and you'd be jogging. And then I wanted to take it up a notch. And you're into challenges and you love this. So I started quizzing you.
Wait, you were quizzing me on what you had already taught me before. That's why I skipped a grade. Yeah. Because the summer before kindergarten was when you just taught me a bunch of things. And it was really just one summer. It was, I specifically remember the trip to the beach.
Siesta Key,
yeah.
Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah. And
what'd you learn on that trip?
Was it the times tables that trip?
Yeah. And here's what happened. I took the time, I wrote, you guys sat next to me, all laid on our stomach on the carpet, and I said, let's write out the times tables. This is a trick you can do for things. And I wrote 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. And I wrote them all out from 0 times 0 to 12, 0 times 12. And then we jumped to the 1s and the 2s and the 3, 4. And we went all the way to 12 times 12. It took me forever. I wrote this whole piece of paper out. And you guys were there with me, you and your brother. And we started singing them. You know, the 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5. You know, we did that whole thing. And, you know, Ryan, your brother, was like 6. And for him, it was challenging, which is normal. I mean, that was challenging for me at like 10 or 9. But you were 4 years old, had not started kindergarten yet, and you got it. And I started checking with you. All right, Adrian, Then what's 8 times 8? And you'd close your eyes and think, you go, 64. And I was like, wait a minute. He's 4 years old. And you memorized from 0 times 0, or 1 times 1, all the way to 12 times 12.
Yeah.
And so also around that time, that summer probably, we taught you the states, all 50 states.
Yeah.
And we taught you, what else? There was a few things. All the presidents in order. That YouTube video is still out there. You were 4 or 5.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's there. Look it up. Adrian Gandara, presidents. He was a little kid, and he knew all the presidents in order. And what else? When we did the states, it was a funny thing. We did the states, and I said to you, all right, I printed up a blank map of the United States. So you have to write the name of each state in there. And I remember you were in your little tiny table where you would eat your food and do your work. And then you looked up at me and said, I'm going to put the capitals as well, but I might put the star geographically where it goes a little bit off, because I don't remember exactly if it's on the northern part of the state or eastern or western. And I said, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. You did all 50 states, and you're like 4 years old, and you put all 50 capitals. You had them memorized. And when I checked where the stars were, they were pretty close. Like Tallahassee was where Tallahassee, Sacramento was where it goes, Albany was way up there. So you understood the assignment, and you did it way more than what I thought. So that was all before kindergarten.
Yeah, that was all like that summer before kindergarten. So I would have been 5. Would have been 5 years old. And I don't remember like the story. I even try to imagine it of the first day that I ran and I was running next to you guys on the bikes. I don't remember that at all.
You have no memory of that run?
Not at all.
Oh, wow.
I just know the story. But I have memories of in the old neighborhood that we lived in running next to you. I remember running in the treadmill in the gym that we had there one time. Yep. Just a couple, probably like 2 or 3 memories because I was still little. But yeah, I learned all those things the summer before. And then I would run with you, but still not really. Like I would just run, not really often at all. Sometimes while you would bike. And that's when you would quiz me while I would run. So you would just ask me like times tables as I'm running next to you. Yeah,
states, capitals. Sometimes I'd give you the capital, you give me the state.
Yeah.
Or we'd vice versa, back and forth.
Yeah.
And then you got daring, and we got into the chemistry.
Remember?
Periodic table of elements. And Adrian was 5 years old, and you were telling me, I don't know, what's the first one? Do you remember?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen?
Yeah.
And you would tell me the position. Then you started telling me like whatever that number underneath, I don't know, the weight.
The
atomic weight or something. You started telling me that as well. That's when I was like, this kid is a nerd. He knows a lot.
I just remember things.
Yeah, great memory. All right, so maybe one day we'll have to get back to that trail to show you where we ran on those rocks. Maybe it'll revive some of the memories. That reminds me, another thing that happened is that when you were in that treadmill, we didn't have a treadmill, but it was the little gym where we used to live. You said something like, I want to run really fast, see if I could do like a mile or 2 or whatever you wanted to do. And I said, all right, sure. So I was next to you and I was watching you, and you were tiny because you were little. You were small for your age, and you were running on this treadmill fast. And I mean, a pace I couldn't do, and for a sustained period of time. And I remember looking at you, are you okay? And your cheeks were on fire.
Yeah.
Your face looked red, really, really red. And you just kept going, and you hit whatever the goal was. Maybe it was like 10 minutes of sprinting, and you did. And so then I remember, okay, that's it. Get out of here. Let's go. We started walking home, and it was maybe a half-mile walk, and it was hot outside, South Florida summer. And I asked you, I said, are you okay, Adrian? Yeah, I'm fine. And I touched your chest, and it felt like your heart was going to come out. And I said, I just killed my son. He's going to die. So I carried you the rest of the way home like a 5-year-old or whatever you were. And I was carrying you because I thought, I killed him. I killed him. You got home, took a shower, and you were fine.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I remember that, but it might just be from the story being told that many times. But yeah, I remember I wouldn't really run seriously. I would just run every so often. And it was until we moved. And that's when I actually started running, like when I did my first 5K with you.
And that happened because your school did a little event. Remember, there was a fundraiser to run circles around the school?
Booster-thon.
Yeah. To raise money.
Yeah.
And you got some sponsorships, and you ran And you did really well. I think you won, right, for the whole school?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And that was like second grade.
Yeah. So whole elementary, and you won. And I know this because the next door neighbor, Jody Samuels, she's an ultra marathon champion. And she told me, she said, you know, there's something really different about Adrian. He did this thing and he won. But when they said go, all the kids started sprinting. And it's like he knew. He went nice and easy. He knew he was in it for the long haul. Maybe it was like an hour-long run or who knows how long. And he just kept that pace. And he never stopped. And all the other kids died out after one lap. And he won the whole score. And I think she told me you set the record. She was there volunteering that day. And so she said, there's an upcoming race, Memorial Day 5K race. Why don't you sign him up? Let's see what happens. All right, sure. I signed you up and you won your age group by a lot.
And, you know, I've thought about this many times. I think that if I didn't win my age group that day, it would have just been like another thing that someone just does one time. And it's like, okay, that was fun. And that was it. Because I hate doing things that I don't win. And I feel like there's definitely been things that I could be better at if I just actually did it. But I'm not good at it at the beginning, and so I just don't. But I feel like, because so many, especially it's a big race, and so many kids locally will just do that race like once or twice, and it's just a thing that you do once a year. But I just happen to win my age group. I guess just if I wouldn't have, I don't think I would have continued running, which is pretty crazy.
Because you've done hundreds of races.
Yeah, it just would have been a whole different life.
Just from at that point, I think you were 7.
I was 7, yeah.
You had just turned
2014.
7. Yeah, you had just turned 7. And man, your life would be so different right now had you not run that race that day.
It could have been like either me not running it or me just not winning. Like if I were slower or if there were just a faster kid there. And I probably wouldn't have kept running.
Man, your life would be so different.
Yeah.
All right, so you've done some other things. So you ran that 5K, and then we said, whoa, you did really well. Let's do more of these, right? Yeah. So we started going like every weekend.
We started doing them really often.
Yeah, every weekend we were doing a 5K race. And we would drive to different cities and go far away. And so, but you've done other things. You and I have done a couple of long walks.
Yeah.
Tell people about that.
So we, the first time, I think was in 2019, we walked to Las Olas Beach, and that was like a 21-mile walk from our house. And that was the first time I realized, because I've been running, I think by then, I had done one half marathon.
At age 8?
At 8 years old, yeah.
Half marathon. And what was your time on that?
1:46.
So an hour, 46 minutes, half marathon at age 8.
It's like 8:01 per mile, something like that. I mean, now I know I love endurance things. Like I want to be an ultra marathoner and all that. But this was the first time we had done something like that, and it was like an all day thing. And we walked to the beach. It took like 9 hours, and I just liked it. Like I don't have speed like that. I just graduated high school, and so I liked cross country way better than track, just because it's longer and I have more stamina. But even still, it was just too short for me, because I know that like if it weren't about speed and just distance and how long you can go, I can just run all day. And this was something where like we did all day, and it's just something that I enjoyed. So then we did that, and then years later, 2022, we walked to Miami Beach, and that one was like 34 miles.
34, 35.
That one was really long.
That was a long,
It was like 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, it took us 13 and a half hours, if I remember correctly. And we were hurting. Remember when we got to Miami? Like we could already see downtown, but our feet were on fire.
I hated that. And
that was rough.
I did that one ultra marathon.
So wait, you're jumping around. You ran an ultra marathon. How old were you?
I was going to say, that was that same year. I did the ultra marathon earlier in 2022. I was 14.
And that was a 6-hour run on hills.
Yeah.
And what distance did you hit?
50K. It was 31 miles. And
you just sat around a lot. You could have done way more. You just didn't want to overdo it on mileage.
I sat around for like an hour. It was because you only count as a finisher if you do an ultra marathon. So if you do 27 miles, you count as a finisher. So I hit that, and then I sat down. I was like drinking soda and eating whatever. And then the last few minutes, my friends were like, you guys want to just do a bit more? Because they were there doing some laps with me as I was going. And that's why we did 31. I'm going to do it this January in 2 months. And I'm not fully training for that. I'm training for a half marathon right now. So I'm already in pretty good distance shape, but I'm not fully training for that. But I'm just not going to stop. And I think I'm going to go for 40 miles.
Wow, 40 miles on hills. That's a lot of climb.
Yeah.
Those hills are pretty
It's
steep.
going to kill me. But
it's going to be tough.
But what we were talking about, the Miami walk, I had done the ultra marathon not too long before that, just a few months before. And it was a 31-mile run compared to a 34-mile walk. And the walk was so much harder.
I agree, because I've done that race.
Yeah.
I think I did 53 kilometers on
You did
that
like
same
32
race.
miles, yeah.
Yeah, and then I did that walk with you, and man, that was a
So
killer.
much harder, just because of how long it takes.
Yeah, that walk is forever. But I remember asking you, this is a test, like half the things I do are tests. Our feet were hurting. We were dying walking that long walk. It was hot. I think it was May. It was humid down here in South Florida. And I asked you, are we ever going to do this again? And you were complaining about pain. So was I. We're like, man, this is rough. And I go, would you ever do this again? And you said, yeah, of course. We got to do a farther one. In the worst of it, we were in the last couple miles. What was that about? If you're suffering, you're telling me my feet are really hurting. And you said, yeah, we got to do a longer one.
Yeah, I don't even know. I just enjoy suffering, but I feel like only in the aspect of distance running, or I guess walking. But I just like to push myself when something hurts. And yeah, I mean, that's why I want to do ultras, like 100-milers. And I could just see myself just running all day. And if it hurts, like, just keep going.
So do you feel pain? You feel fatigue?
Yeah, that's funny, because people ask me, like, how do you not feel tired, or how do you not, like, what I do? Like, I definitely do feel tired. I'm human, so I'm gonna, if I run, like, tomorrow, I have for the half that I'm training, I have a 15-mile progression run tomorrow, so I'm starting slower and then quick by the end. And people are like, how do you do that? Like, how do you not feel tired? I do feel tired. Like, I'm a person, and I feel tired. But maybe I just fight through it better. I don't think I have anything different in my body that makes me fight through it better. I think it's just the mentality of just like I don't think it's anything physical in me that I don't feel fatigue or whatever. I think it's just me, like, I'm just going to keep pushing. Like I said, I'm going to do this. I'm training for this. When I have an end goal, like I said, it makes it so much easier for me to continue. Like during the summer, I didn't have this half marathon in mind, and I was trying to run, just probably maintain like 40 miles per week just to kind of stay in shape during the summer. But I had nothing to train for. And so I was slacking and I was just falling off my training. And then I decided that's when I'm going to do the half marathon in December. And then my training has been on since then, just because I have something to look forward to.
So people should probably do that in whatever they do, whether it's running or life. They should
just have an end goal.
An end goal. And I always say this, and I know you do it, is you have to have a big goal, but then you have to have an action plan. Otherwise, what do I'm going to run 1,000,000 miles. Well, what are you going to do tomorrow? What do you do today? What do you do the next day? You have that, right? You set these action plans for these runs?
Yeah. So I have a coach, and he gives me my workouts every week. They're all planned out.
Real quick, who pays for your coach?
Me.
Yeah, because it's not me.
Yeah. So I hired this coach, and he's pretty qualified, like 3-time Olympic trials qualifier. He was introduced to me by a friend, and he gave me all my workouts from August to December, so I don't have to worry about anything. I just see it there, and I pay him every month. And yeah, I mean, not even with running. I just feel like anything, if you don't have a goal, you're just kind of going through life, and you're just wasting your days. And like I have friends that I don't really know what I want to do for work, like not athletic-wise, but just when I'm older. But I have an idea. I know that I want to be in business. I know that I want to start my own business. And like that's at least I work right now. Like I know that there's something for me to do, but I have friends that either like, whether they work or not, they just don't have an end goal. And that's just how people end up stuck at a job, just like a normal, like minimum wage job, working at a restaurant or a park or whatever. And it's just sad that you don't have a goal and you're just okay with staying where you are, which I definitely am not.
Yeah. Yeah. You may have gotten that from me. I can't sit
I couldn't
still
imagine working at the same job for years that you were at like 17 years old, like a basic, no experience job. You see people come in and out and you're just there.
Yeah, you want to move up.
Yeah.
You want to get better and better. So tell us, you have two parents, my wife, Jessica, and I. Can you find any traits that you've gotten from each of us or no?
Yeah, I mean, people always tell me that I'm like my parents and like you. Like, people can tell that I get whatever I have from you guys. But definitely just a working mentality, like a not giving up mentality. Those are probably just the top two. Like, just sticking to something and having something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got your height. You didn't get it from me because you're already 3 inches taller than me. You and your brother. So you guys are big. You didn't get that from me. I'm glad. All right. So what can you imagine? Okay, you don't know what you want to do forever, but what can you imagine? Like, have you ever thought about it? Oh, I own a company that does this. Can you imagine anything?
I feel like that'd be a typical thing for someone to wonder. But in my case, like, whenever someone asks me, like, that same question, like, what would you want to sell? You didn't think that you were going to be selling underwear for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, anything happens. Yeah, like, just anytime that I think of that scenario of you selling underwear, and obviously it's not something that you would picture, I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
It can really be anything. But so I'm in college right now, and I started like 2.5 months ago. And I wouldn't necessarily say that like 100% I see myself graduating, just because like for you, it took you 10 years just to get your 4-year bachelor's. And it was just because you were busy with work. And if you weren't in college, you would have been able to take off work better, right? Take off your business, make more money earlier.
Yeah, it held me back.
Like, not only you couldn't make money because you were busy with classes, but you were spending money for classes.
Yeah, I was paying for school, books, transportation. I wasn't sleeping enough.
Yeah, that's like me with what I'm doing right now, which we're going to talk about, right? What I'm doing right now and the full-time job that I was working over the summer. The only reason that I wasn't making more money during the summer was because my full-time was taking up too much time, and I was already making more money from my part-time, and my full-time was taking up too much time and I couldn't work. And that's why I quit, and obviously I started to make more money. But I wouldn't necessarily say, and it's good that like you have this mindset, because most times somebody would say to their parents, like, I don't see myself graduating college. I would drop out, start my business, whatever. And parents are like, what are you talking about? But like, you can agree that if I see something, or if I have an opportunity to start my own business, or I already did start my own business, and college is just taking up too much of my time, it's not letting me start it, you would be okay with me dropping out.
100%. You can always go back to school if you really wanted to. But in my experience, and there's exceptions to this, if you want to be a lawyer, go to college. You want to be an accountant, go to college. You want to be a pharmaceutical, pharmacist, go to all those things. Doctor, go to college. You want to sell products on the internet, do not go to college. It's not going to help you. I don't know of a college major or college class that's going to give you what you can't learn on YouTube, and you can't learn by interning real quick or getting a quick job, or put some dollars into something and you're going to learn, because that's a huge motivator. I might lose money. So you're going to learn real quick to go online and figure it out. So tell us about, when did you start making money, you personally, on your own?
I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. Everything started early. It's just been things that I've kind of evolved. Like my running's grown, and my, I guess, business, just what I've been doing for money, has grown. But it all started when I was young. And so I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. And that's when Ryan and I were in Boy Scouts, and we would sell boxes of chocolate to raise money. And then you realize, like, it went so well for us, we could just do this for ourselves. So we started buying them wholesale. Where were we buying them from?
Gordon Food Service.
Gordon Food Service. And we would just buy them in bulk, really cheap. You would buy them at first, but we would still pay you back for them.
I was just lending you the money on the first box or two, and then you guys had to pay me back.
Even
and
at
then
5 years old, we were buying the boxes from you.
Heck yeah, you got to learn early. Otherwise, you'll end up like the rest of the kids out there.
Yeah, we were like 5 and 7 years old. And so we were just buying these boxes and going door to door, first in our neighborhood, and then we would go to like shopping centers, outdoor restaurants, stuff like that, and we would sell to people. And it was so easy to make money, just because like a little 5 or 6 year old kid, somebody's going to buy chocolate from them. And even if they ask you like, what's it for? And you say it's my business, they're like,
yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
I would show you guys to say, I'm an entrepreneur and this is my first business. And people, 99% would say, oh, that's so cute. Here you go. Occasionally you get a Karen or two, right?
Yeah. Some people, I remember like some older ladies sometimes would be taking out their wallet, and they ask me what it's for, and I say like, it's my business, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm like 8 years old, and they put their wallet away.
What haters. But yet they give their money to Apple, and they give it to Mercedes-Benz, they give it to all these things, but they won't give it to a kid who's starting to be idiots.
So yeah, that was the beginning. And it was just selling boxes of chocolates, and that was up until recently. Like I was selling chocolates up until not even a year ago.
Yeah.
Last winter break of my senior year. Winter breaks during high school was when I would kind of have like a push of just, I'm not in school, so I can just do this right now, because I wouldn't really sell chocolate during school at all. And it was just a push, and it would catch me up. Like any money that I've spent like throughout the whole entire year, I could just make up in this winter break.
Yep.
And
with chocolates.
Yeah, just selling chocolates, going to a town center and all
Don't
these.
give the exact things.
And going to all these outdoor shops, and even into this bar. And so I would go into this bar, and I would sell chocolate in there, and I'd go to all these people, and I'd even bump the prices of the chocolate. So I started selling them for $3 inside of this bar. And it wasn't even like I was selling them for $3. It's like I was selling them for like 6 or 7, just because people in there would just give me a 20, and they're like, just give me one, or just keep it. Or many times I'd say it's $3, they'll give me a 5. That was the most popular thing. Yeah. So they'll just give me a 5, and they say keep the change, because what's it to them, like $2 extra, whatever.
And this happened to be a bar where guys were pulling up, some of them in Lamborghinis, right? So you were hitting a really
like
good
these
spot.
Small chocolate bars, like they're making them thinner every year. And it's these small chocolate bars that I'm selling for $5 after I'm buying them for like 50 or 60 cents each. Yeah. So I'm making so much money off of each chocolate bar. And all I have to do is go in there for like 20 minutes, and then maybe the town center for like 20 more. I'll be out there for 45 minutes, and I'll finish a day with like $150, $200.
And what, because we would always calculate this stuff. I would ask you on the way home, all right, how much did you make? And what's the profit on it? And how would it go?
There would be days where it's like, all right, I sold 160, profit was 125.
Dang, a 45-minute effort, which you're not shoveling manure.
Yeah.
Right? You're not carrying sacks of cement. You're just going, hey, sir, my name's Adrian. I'm selling chocolates. Would you like to buy some, right? It's pretty much like that.
There was a push. So last winter break, I had a goal. I don't remember what it was. It might have been like $2,500 to $3,000 total sales.
I remember that.
I think maybe it was like $2,500. I ended up just short of $3,000, I think. So I don't know what the goal was. I know I ended up with like $2,900 for the winter break. I started selling, so I just decided I was going to sell every day. I think the goal was $2,400, because there were 24 days, and I wanted to do 100 a day. $2,400
in total sales or profit?
Total sales. So I kind of stopped keeping track of profit. I don't know what it was, but I know it would have been really high, just because I would already buy them for like 60 cents and sell them for $2. And then at the bar, I'd sell them for $3 and get
and then
extra
they'd give
tip.
you all those tips. Yeah.
So I was making mostly profit. It was like 70, 80% profit.
Amazing.
And, so yeah, I started like in midterm week, because I didn't really have classes. So that's why I got a kind of a extra week for winter breaks. It was 24 days. I was trying to do $100 a day. And there was a stretch of like, it was right around Christmas time. I'm pretty sure it was like December 21st, 22nd, 23rd, where my gross sales were like 250, 240, 440.
Dang.
That day, December 23rd, or maybe it was the first day of that. It was the first day of that 3-day stretch, December 21st. That was the most I had ever done in a day selling chocolate my whole life. It was like $440 or $460, something. So
the profit
like that.
on that's probably like $300 and something.
Those were 3 days where I sold almost $1,000 in little chocolate bars.
Dang.
Which I couldn't believe.
And so easily.
Yeah.
And then you got a job. What was your first actual going somewhere?
Publix.
Yeah, but before that, when you were 10, you worked at a barber shop sweeping the floors, remember?
Yeah, like $8 an hour.
$8 an hour cash.
Yeah.
And there was another thing. They would give you free haircuts. And then they would also let you put your box of chocolates at the front desk, didn't they?
Yeah.
So you got to sell some chocolates during the day.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So you did that one day a week. And then the next job was Publix at a grocery store?
Yeah, that was like the first actual job. I was 16.
Yeah. How'd that go? What did you find as a 16-year-old working at a grocery store? What was the experience like?
It was fine. Everyone else was like half the staff was also high schoolers, people that went to my school. It's just a normal job here for people that age. And my issue was not getting enough hours. It was already low pay. It was like almost minimum wage. I was making $12.80 an hour. And the issue was just not getting enough hours, and I just wanted to make more money. And I was running at the same time for the team, for school. And so the only time that I could work was on weekends. And so I would put in my availability sheet, I would put like open to close on weekends. They can't give me those hours. I'm just saying I'm available. You know, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. anytime there I can work Saturday and Sunday. I'll check my sheet every week, and I'll have like a 3-hour shift on Saturday, no shift on Sunday.
Man,
I'm making 30-something bucks a week.
Yeah,
and I was
horrible.
like, I can't keep doing this. And especially when I missed senior year track because I had a stress fracture, so I could work much more during that time. And I was still getting like 12 hours a week. And I was trying to work as much as I could. And so I worked at Publix for a year, like a year and a week. And I actually just left in like June of this year, like not even that long ago. And I left because at the same time I was working at Everglades Holiday Park. It's where they do the airboat tours. And
tourists, all the tourists.
Yeah, there were a lot of tourists every day. And so I started working there in April. So I was in school. I would work at Publix on the weekdays because the only shifts that they had at the park were 9 to 5. So I would work at Publix on the weekdays, even if it was just like 2 days a week after school. I would go straight from school to Publix because I wasn't running. And then on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, I'd work 9 to 5 at the park. Mm-hmm. So I was doing that from April to June till I graduated for 2 months. And that's when I left Publix because at Everglades, they were actually treating me like an adult because Publix has all these strict rules for minors. Yep. And it's like they were actually breaking a lot of rules at Everglades. And they were letting me work there 40 hours a week. So I was able to work full time.
In the summer.
All summer.
Right, yeah.
So I was working 9 to 5, 5 days
The reality,
a week.
you're also out of high school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you worked this summer. Was it just at the park, or did you also have Publix a little bit in the summer?
Publix, my last shift was the day before graduation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So all summer, you worked 40 hours this last summer.
Yeah.
Right, as a 17-year-old graduate. And what else did you do during the summer?
So, I mean, that was good for me at the time. I was pretty happy just because, I mean, I was making $13 an hour there. I would have been fine if it was like 10, just because I was working so much more, just making more money.
Yeah, more hours.
And I was fine because it was just enough to maintain like my car insurance. And if I'm buying food, my bank account will kind of just stay the same every week. And I just had like easy money that I know that's coming in. I just had to spend a while there. But then I started selling Cutco in late July.
It was the American-made knives.
Yeah. And at first, like, I didn't really know anything about it. It's a pretty controversial just business, I guess. And I still went into it. I did a lot of research. I remember even after I started working, after doing training, I was reading for hours online.
I remember you telling me this seems controversial. A lot of people have failed at it, so they're writing really bad things about it.
And there were really
online.
negative reviews. And I was just like, I mean, as long as there's nothing they're making me like pay for and, lose any money, like I might as well just check it out, like give it a shot. I was still working at Everglades. Like it was not a big deal. Still working full time. I didn't cut my hours or anything. And so I started, I did my 2-day training, and then I started selling Cutco in late July. I think it was July 20th. It was my first day towards the end of the summer. And it just kicked off. Like it was really good. So I'm working full time at Everglades, making $430, $450 a week. My first weekend selling Cutco, that was just Saturday, Sunday, Monday. My paycheck was like $740.
And it was just a few hours each day. Wasn't it like
exactly.
a full 8-hour day or anything?
I was still working full time. What I would do during the summer was work 9 to 5. So I'd get up at like 7:30, work 9 to 5, and then I would either go straight home to do virtual demos, or I would go to people's houses for them. And I'd do them pretty late into the night. And I was still running. I would run at like midnight, 1 a.m. sometimes, shower, eat, go to bed at like 2 or 3 in the morning, wake up at 7:30, do it again. That's what I was doing for my first 10 days selling Cutco. My first 3 days, the paycheck was like $740. And then our first 10 days on the job is like a thing. So you get your 3-day paycheck, and then those next 7 days. That week, my paycheck was $2,500.
$2,500 for a 7-day
7 days.
week.
It was
That's
1
all.
week.
And you made $2,500. That was your portion of it? That's what you made?
That's what, like, deposited into my bank account, $2,500. And so even while I'm making all these sales and I'm making all this money, I'm still reading online all the reviews. But that's when I start to notice, like, these are people that either didn't even go to the interview, didn't do their training, they said they heard bad things, or people that did start and just couldn't sell. And, like, people that didn't do well and whatever, like a whole bunch of different stories. It went well for me. And so this was my first 10 days, and I had been paid like $3,200, $3,300. And 10 days at Everglades, I was making like $700.
And you were happy with that 700?
Yeah.
In 10 days, you know,
Yeah.
and then, but you got the taste of something better.
And then in 10 days, I made 3,300.
And how long did it take you to realize I should probably drop the other one so I could do more of this?
So after my 10-day fast start is what it's called, it was perfect timing because I wouldn't have been able to sell if we were on a trip. But the day after I finished my fast start, the next day we went on a trip. And
we went to St. Louis, Missouri, and Kentucky.
St. Louis and Indianapolis, Kentucky.
Visited some parks.
And on that trip, I typed my email and I sent in my 2 weeks at Everglades. So it was just 10 days that I was working full time and running and doing this. It was not sustainable because I was sleeping like 4.5 hours every night. And it was a good choice because like I was about to start college too in like 3 weeks after. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to do all of those things. So I had to keep one job, which is why I kept doing Everglades, even though I got that 3-day paycheck that was huge just in case. And then I got the even bigger paycheck and I was like, okay. So,
yeah.
So,
and it's important to note, who's responsible for paying for your college?
Me. So, it was actually funny because my college tuition for this semester was like $2,600, and I made that in my first week.
Dang.
Selling Cutco. So like all I had to do was sell for 1 week, and that was all of my college tuition for the semester. Yeah. So now all the money that I make now, I still have more expenses like my car insurance and my coach and shoes and whatever. But I don't have to worry about like student loans, which is just a horrible, like scary path to go down. And just like one crazy week. To be fair, that was a really big week, like right in the beginning, because that's when I'm selling to people that I'm most close to and they'll buy for me. But there was another week, like 4 weeks after that, where my paycheck was $2,500 as well. I've had two $2,500.
And even when you're not hitting $2,500, you're still hitting over $1,000, and you're still doing well on on a lot of the other weeks as well.
Yeah.
So it's not all or nothing.
Yeah. And now it only took like 3 weeks. I'm an assistant manager now, and so I get assistant manager pay. So I make 2% of the office sales. So even if I don't do anything, because I just went on a trip last week. And I also can't sell Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays while I'm at school. So I didn't sell anything last week. Like I didn't make any money until like the assistant manager pay. So I make 2% of the office sales. I still made, like, just for me not doing anything, I made like almost $200.
That's great.
Which is like, it's okay.
It's amazing. At 17 years old, you get a $200 check almost, and you didn't do anything.
Yeah. Just for like coaching calls. So people will call me and they'll ask me like, hey, are there any discounts, any deals we can do? And I'll just call them. It's like a 2-minute call, 1-minute call sometimes.
Do these people know that you're 17 and you're their coach? Because some of these are in their 20s.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone is 18 and older. I think there's one 17-year-old other than me. And it's cool because at Everglades, a job where people are making less money, like grown adults working those same jobs that I'm working at, like 30, 40 years old, they wouldn't respect me there. Like I was just like, I was a good worker. I was employee of the month too, but I was just like the kid, and like nobody would take me seriously. And then now I go to this sales job, and people know that I'm 17, but they just see like, look at what he was able to do. I want to do what he does.
Because you're getting to put up the numbers now.
Exactly.
You're not just showing up for a job like everybody else.
Like everyone else. Yeah, they can see the difference. Like there's not much of a difference I can make working at a park.
Do you think you'll ever have an hourly pay job in the future again?
No. I mean, I don't really like working for anyone. And this technically isn't even working for someone just because I don't have hours. I can make my own hours. I call people and I get recommendations from people. And so I call them and I'm like, hey, I got recommended to you from this person and they thought you were nice enough to make a call. And then we arrange a time. And so I can work on my own time. I decide I can't work on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I work on the weekend and Monday. And it's just so nice being able to choose my own hours. I can just do whatever I want. And there's no ceiling. I can just make however much money I allow myself. So, no, I mean, I don't really see myself working. I don't know why.
It's hard to, hourly. Because if the frustrating thing for me when I had jobs is if I work hourly and I work 8 hours and that guy next to me worked 8 hours, but he's lazy and he goes half the speed, I go, how am I making the same money?
Yeah.
I should probably take my skills and go do my own business. That's what happened for me. So you're in school full time. You're taking 4 classes this semester.
Yeah.
You're working and making good money. You're driving down the school for 3 days a week. You're 45 minutes away or so, and then you spend 3 days there. And then, let's see, what else? You have a social life?
Yeah. So I'm over there during the week, but I come back here like every Friday and Saturday. I go eat with my friends. And during during the summer, so we go and eat every weekend, pretty much every Friday and Saturday. And I was spending a lot of money during the summer, and it was before I started selling Cutco. And it was just for my Everglades pay. And I was like, I'm not making any money because I'm spending it going here eating. So there was about a month stretch where we went out to eat probably like 5 or 6 times, where I started doing it, and another friend as well. We would just call it that. We would just say we're ordering scraps. And so we would go to Chili's every weekend, and we wouldn't order anything. And all our friends would order. They would eat their food, and whatever they would leave, we would just eat at the end. Or sometimes they'd be nice enough and give us something during the meal just so that we can still go and enjoy.
You're like the homeless guys.
The company. So I mean, I wasn't really embarrassed by it. Like, I'm still there with them hanging out and just saving money. So I saved like a few $100s that month just because I wasn't.
Did you tell them? I'm in a saving mode right now.
Yeah. And like, I would get made fun of, but like, whatever. Like, I'm saving my money. They don't really get it. Like, a lot of them, it's not their money.
Yeah.
And I just did it for a bit, and then I started selling Cutco. So now, like, I still try not to spend too much money, but I can still comfortably go and, I can still go and eat. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm always pretty busy. And sometimes my friends want to hang out, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I have work or I have whatever. And they just don't get it sometimes, and they're like, just don't go to work. But I'm like, it's not even like that. Like, it's an appointment that I have with people. I go to their house, and they're like, just cancel. Like, it's fine. I mean, they'll probably eventually get it, but
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they get it. This isn't about them. This is about you. One of the best things that happened to me growing up is that I had to go to work, and I missed some New Year's because I had an overnight shift in radio. I missed some Thanksgivings. I missed some holidays with family that really, it hit me, and I remember suffering because of it. But ultimately, that made me a harder worker. It made me tougher. It made me appreciate the money I have. So it breaks my heart when you or your brother can't join us for family things. But I go, this is toughening them up. This is getting them ready for life. When you miss an activity with your friends, when you miss a family gathering, which kills me, I go, good. They're getting to become men. They're getting smarter. They're getting tougher. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was even like last Christmas Eve. The whole family was at home. I worked until 8 p.m. at Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, and we have a pretty early family. Everything ends pretty early, and I worked until 8, so I got home at like 8:30, and everybody waited for me to get home. So I said hi to everyone. Everyone left, and I was still training at the time, and so I'm pretty sure that night, like, I got home, said hi to everyone. They all left. I just ate dinner by myself, and then I had to run that night, and I had just eaten dinner. I was running outside by myself. I even waited a while for like the dinner to kind of go down. I remember I was outside running with a stomach ache at midnight. It had turned into Christmas, and it was midnight, and I'm just running outside with a stomach ache by myself. And I mean, yeah, those are the sacrifices now. I have friends, and it kind of pains me to hear sometimes because some of my friends, they want to go on like a trip or like rent an Airbnb and go somewhere, and I'm just like, I have work or I like whatever, and they're like these are memories, but you can make memories whenever. I get like the childhood memories, but like I don't think that I'm really gonna regret like not going on this Airbnb trip with them when I'm just here making money, and then I can go on like any vacations that I want. I really want to travel when I'm older, and like I'm preparing for that now rather than just not letting myself. And the main thing that I say is just like they're just not gonna get it because they don't work and it's not their money.
Yeah. You're preparing for real life. And you told me not that long ago that you already saw this in school. There's a WhatsApp group or however you guys communicate. And you told me that the professor is making things reasonable and good. And everybody is complaining.
Yeah.
Right? That the professor is making it so difficult. But I think your mom and I have prepared you guys for life. So you're finding things in life right now. Are they that hard?
No, like, it's ridiculous. This is college too. Like I'm realizing as I'm in college, you always realize as you're going from like middle school to high school to college, like I'm in big boy land now, and that it's going to get harder. And then you realize like they're always just cutting slack. Like it's not really that hard. But I would expect in college, people are more grown up and like they're not taking excuses. We have like, for my basic college algebra math class that everyone has to take, we have to spend an hour and a half of our week in the math lab. So like you have your entire week, you just have to go in there, and it's just a time for you to do your homework, have teachers' assistants help you with your math, and you have to do an hour and a half a week.
At your own time, you choose.
Yeah, anytime that you can go. You can go anytime during the week. And our professor said the hour and a half that you're here for class doesn't count. You have to go another hour and a half during the week. People were so mad about it. and people like making up all these reasons saying they couldn't go. And I'm just thinking like, it's not a big deal. Maybe people have reasons at the camp or whatever. And he even told us in class, he was like, if it were up to me, I would let this count. I'm trying to get the association to let it count. And people were still so mad at him. And I'm like, what do you want him to do? Yeah. And then eventually he was able to convince them. And so now the hour and a half that we spend in the math lab in our organized class time counts. We don't have to go at a different time in the week. And people are always finding something to complain about still. What do you mean we don't have a second retake on the test?
God, these kids are not prepared for life.
It's pretty sad because like this is the easiest class you're going to be taking too. Just like a basic college algebra class that everyone has to take. And like everyone's just so soft. And
do you think that the way you and Ryan and now your younger brother and sister, the four of you, do you think the way that you were brought up at home prepared you for this stuff?
Yeah, that's exactly. And the way that we were brought up at home prepared us, and the way that they were brought up at home, the other people didn't prepare them.
Ill prepared them in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and just being like coddled, I guess. Because this is college. I would be expecting so much harsher. Like we have a retake for every test that we take. I was on the trip last week and I missed class. So
we went to 3 national parks.
Yeah, and we went up to South Dakota, North Dakota, and I missed class and we had a math test, but there's a retake for every test. So I won't have a retake. I just go to the retake and that's my one chance. But like, I'm so lucky that I can even do that. There's a retake for every test in a basic math class, and people are just like always complaining about things. They just have nothing else to struggle or complain about. So that's why
their lives are too easy. So you put a 2 in difficulty out of 10, and that's it. They collapse. They can't take it anymore. So let's talk about when you were, I don't know if you were 12 or 13, and you just came up with this challenge like you always do. And you said, I want to see how long I could tread water on the deep end of the pool. You did not touch the sides. You didn't even get near it. You didn't go down, and you didn't, nothing. You just treaded water, your head above water.
Yeah.
How old were you, and how long did that last?
I think I was 13. It was right when COVID started. And I had done things like that before. Like when I was younger, I was like, I remember I was little. I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, and I did an hour treading water in the pool without touching anything. And I had done that a while before, and then I think maybe I did a challenge with some friends, and we both decided to quit at the same time. We did like just over 2 hours. I was probably like 11 or 12 then. And then this time when I was 13, right when COVID started, I went for 4 hours. And I did like the whole thing.
And I know this personally because I thought you're going to die. So I was watching all of these. I was there seeing what you were doing. That was amazing. I have trouble treading water. I know it sounds crazy. My record is 10 minutes, and that's only to get scuba certified because you got to do that in the pool. And I was dying. That was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. It was only like a year ago. So how the heck do you tread water for 4 freaking hours?
And it was boring too. It was so boring just because I had some people, like my sister would come out or you would come out every now and then. I would get right up to the edge and she would feed me as I was in there.
I remember that.
And, but eventually they go inside and I'm just out there by myself, just treading water.
I watched you through the window a lot.
Really?
I didn't want to be outside the entire time. I was out there a lot, but I'd go in and out, but I kept watching you through the glass door.
Yeah. So it did get really boring, but I feel like that's just what I'm built for. Like things like that where, I know I keep mentioning it, but like 100 milers, you're out in the desert, it's like something like that. And there's no one around you. I just see myself doing it. Like that's probably something that I just have different in me. I don't know. 'Cause I know 99% of people are just like, that's torture. Like, why would you enjoy doing that? I do. And that's just what I see myself doing, just doing things that I could last.
Does it make life better when the pain stops? Maybe that's it. The pain is going on. You're hurting. You're way down there. And then when it stops, you don't go to the average where everyone's else is at. Your regular everyday then must be amazing because you're not hurting in the everyday.
I mean, I know a lot of people do things like this, and it's kind of like a coping method. Like some people pick up some sport because it helps them like forget of something, but I don't have anything.
Maybe you're trying to run away from a bad father.
Maybe I don't have anything to like be sad about or run away. Like I have a good life, and then I still like to suffer and make myself do it, which is most of the time when people are like, that's the hard part to understand. Like why? I don't know.
So I don't know if I've told you these things, but when I was a kid, I probably told you some of these. I loved to suffer.
Yeah.
I remember reading something or seeing it on TV, and it said like, would you rather be at this pool enjoying poolside or doing hot push-ups in the sun? And I was like 10 or 11. I was like, hot push-ups in the sun. That's what I like to do. I want to do tough things. I remember one time I wanted to make money, and I was at my parents' job because my existence was around being with my parents all the time because we couldn't afford babysitting. And I must have been like 9 years old. And I was at their job. It was a radio station, which later as an adult I started working at. And I would just walk the hallways for 8 hours a day and then go have lunch with my mom in the middle of the day. But I'd walk the hallways and just talk to employees and see like, what are you doing? And I learned to make small talk with employees, and I learned to communicate really well from all those summers that I did this. And then someone must have given me the idea to go make money. Hey, you could go wash people's windows of their cars. They're all parked outside. And I said, that's it. I want to do that. So I remember somebody hiring me. Maybe they paid me like $3. And I went and Windexed their windows. They had the Windex there at the radio station. I got some paper towels and I started cleaning their window. And you're not going to believe this. It was a summer in Oakland, California. It's not as hot as where we live now, but in the summer it could get warm. And I remember sweating in the car, and I said, let's do this for real. And I closed all the doors and I cleaned the station wagon, all the windows, and I was drenched in sweat. And I just loved the challenge of like, this was tough because I could have done the windows, just regular, but where's the fun in that? I wanted to suffer. So I think maybe you got a little bit of that from me, but here's the difference. When I was 18, I wanted to go to the Marine Corps, and I went and I did workouts with her. I got ready. I took the ASVAB. I had a date to go. And just like all along in my childhood, my parents always said, don't do that. Because grandma and grandpa, they're not into doing anything like we are. And so when I told them, anytime I'd be in my room, I was 9 years old, and I'd be doing push-ups with a little pad of paper, just like this one. And I'd write down how many push-ups I did that day. And I did that all the time. And then I'd have a little section that said records. And I got to like 62 straight push-ups when I was like 12 or something. And I'd always keep track of my top push-ups. And when my parents would walk by, they go, what are you, crazy? Enough with the push-ups, enough with the sit-ups, enough with the burpees, enough with the weightlifting when I bought my first little set of weights. So I didn't have what you have. So when I went to the Marine Corps office and we were ready to go, I had a date to leave. I had a job. It was the Armory. That's what they assigned me. The Marine Corps probably doesn't have as many jobs as the Army, so my ASVAB score probably wasn't so high. So it's just work with the bombs and the weapons and stuff. So I go home because I was about to sign the paper to take off, and I said, you know what? I haven't even talked to my parents. Let me come back tomorrow. And I went home and I told my parents, and they went bananas. Like I've never seen them go bananas, especially my dad. He exploded. We didn't bring you to this country to die. And of all things, the Marine Corps, they're the ones that get killed first. And I mean, just this, like, I thought I was doing something good, and they took it completely out of my mind. And the next day I went to my grandparents' house, and my grandfather did the whole thing, because I guess my dad called his dad and said, you yell at him too. And they talked me out of it. And they talked me out of all these things of working out and all that. But when you do these things, have we ever talked you out of it?
No, it's just encouraged. I don't know. I mean, literally that example, like Ryan's in the military. And
yeah, your older brother's in the Army. And when he brought it to us, what did we say?
No, but I can assume like it's already been something that he's been interested in his whole life. And it's just something that he's like cut out for. But we
encouraged it.
Yeah,
if that's what you want to do, heck yeah, go for it. Now, do good on your ASVAB so you get a good job. And he got light wheeled mechanic, 91 Bravo. So he's got a good function. He's away right now learning. And now he comes out of the Army, he's going to have a good job, which he can open up a business and have a mechanic business. But if that's what works for him, just like whatever, you want to go run 1 billion miles, go run 1 billion miles, go do it. Just go get hydrated and take care of yourself and do it all the right way. Hire a coach. Yeah. Of course, we want to encourage you guys always to do what you want to do, but we do say we want you to do something you enjoy, but you better make money doing it. Because if you like knitting sweaters all day, which that'd be weird, that's not going to make you much money. There's not much demand. Have that as a hobby. Go find a business or a job that you really like, and then you're going to never work a day of your life. You're going to enjoy all of that. So far, what's it like selling knives? You like that?
Yeah, I mean, like, like I said before, the controversial things that I would see about it online, it was people that either hadn't done it or even just did it for a bit and they're like, you can't last in this. And most people do leave after not that long. But for me, if I'm still consistently making money and I've been doing it for over 3 months now, like there's no reason that there's like anything wrong going here. I've never had to put in money to it. Like it's just a good, like it's great for me. It's perfect for college students just because it's so flexible. There's good opportunities. I just went to a meeting. Like I missed all of my classes on Tuesday, but they were all excused just because I went to this meeting, a manager meeting. And it was the first time that they let assistant managers go to it, and it was planning for the whole fall. And we weren't speaking, the assistant manager. And so we're there at the table with them, and as we're watching everything. And the division manager, he even told us, like, you guys don't talk, just listen, and you can just take notes. And so we were there all day. And we were just watching them plan things. And it wasn't how we would usually do, like when we watch meetings with everyone. Usually it's just a slideshow and the division manager, he's going through all of them and he's talking about things. But this wasn't like that. He could just sit down for a bit and let everyone talk and plan. And it was just like a behind the scenes that I had never seen before. And people forget all the time that I'm 17 too. Like I can't go on any of the company trips.
Even though you've won some trips, right? Did you win a trip to Jamaica or something and you couldn't go?
Yeah, I won a sales contest. They came back like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And not that many people went. The whole company was like 50 people that went. And I won the sales contest, a 3-day all-inclusive trip to Jamaica. And
they got to make that up for you one day.
I just couldn't go. The next trip is in February. And I'm hoping it's after my birthday. It's probably not though, just because my birthday's late in February.
Did you win that one already?
No, they haven't announced like how to win it yet. I think they're about to in a few weeks, but like I'm probably going to, just from selling. And yeah, I mean, hopefully I can go to that one. But they're actually leaving next week or the week after to New York to visit the factory, and I can't go. And they're going to Niagara Falls.
Oh man, well, at least you've been there before.
Yeah, but it's good because I get the experience of staying back and running team meetings with everyone in the office. And I actually ran I don't know if I told you this, I ran a portion of training for the new people. So I was in the office just visiting. Sometimes my manager likes me to go and she just asks me questions in front of the new people. I'm going today actually. And while I was there at the office, she had to like answer a phone call. And so she told me like, just talk to him about this. And then she came back, but she let me continue. Finish. And so this was a training class and all these people were like 18, 19 and above, probably like up to 20. And they're all older than me, but they see we have a paycheck wall and they see the paychecks. They know it's me. Like they see that I've done well here. And so they're actually listening to me, taking notes, people that are older than me, which is so crazy to me. And I like for 20 minutes and I'm teaching them about like how to sell to people.
What an experience for you.
Yeah. So while they're gone on trips, I stay back. I get the key to the office and everyone comes in for team meetings and I go like I run the whole team meeting and it's cool.
At 17 years old, most kids are goofing around. They don't have these responsibilities and they're not preparing themselves for life. You're set. Like if you just continue this path, even if I don't say anything else to you, even if you don't go to college, you're going to be set. Obviously, you're not the type that's going to sit and be comfortable at that position. You're going to want to become the manager, run your own office one day. You're going to want to become something else. And maybe it's in Cutco. Maybe it's outside of it. Maybe you start a related business like John Rowland did with Giftology, who started off in, rest in peace, poor guy, passed away recently, but top Cutco salesman ever.
He was huge with Cutco.
Number
one ever, like 8 million in sales.
Yeah,
selling knives.
I got to meet the guy once when he came here to South Florida to speak. And because he was a great Cutco salesman, he started a business that later grew into a massive gift-giving business. So
and he learned it from there. Like
from Cutco.
Yeah, and he did gifts with Cutco.
Yeah, that's why he kept being a top salesman because he'd go to the New York Yankees or the Chicago Cubs. He had all these teams that were his client, and he'd say, "Oh, this year you want to give away some Cutco?" And then he'd make a commission on the back end. That's pretty smart. All right, so let's fast forward. You're 17. Let's call it, I don't know, 25, 30, whatever. It sounds like an eternity for you. But let's cut forward to that. And you see yourself married? You see yourself with kids? What do you plan on doing?
But like no rush at all. I definitely probably like middle school, high school, maybe I was like definitely like I would get married and have kids. But now that I'm kind of doing my own thing and just seeing myself grow, and I have like long-term goals, I'm like, when would I even do that? So it'll be somewhere, but yeah, like it's not a top priority for me right now.
Yeah,
I just want to.
You're way too young for that to be a top priority.
I mean, even like in the future, like it's not even something that I think of, just because like I have long-term goals and I don't see where that would. I feel like especially not being married but having kids, is just something that like, I don't know, kind of blocks off.
Oh yeah, the ability to get up and go go travel and run for 30 days straight.
Something
and all
like
the
traveling.
things you want to do.
I want to do something like go to Kenya and just stay there for like a month and run, and like you can't do that when you have kids and yeah. So I have my goals right now, and things end up changing too, but yeah, I mean, I'll see.
Yeah, you have time. I was just curious. So when you are a father, because I've thought about this since you guys were little, what kind of father are you going to be? What do you imagine with your sons and daughters? What do you imagine doing and talking about? Tell me about
just
that.
Like, they're going to learn a lot. I'm going to teach them a lot of things. Just like, I don't know. I probably was born, like, cause I know you taught me a lot of things and you taught me them at the same time as Ryan, and I just retained them.
Yeah. And just for the record, Ryan was normal.
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't normal. You're not normal at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe my kids will be like that too, but I'll definitely just teach them a lot of things like before they start school as well, just to have them be smarter. I feel like something that I'll prioritize, not even like, cause you guys never really prioritize like academics with me. Like you guys have to be getting straight A's.
No,
like it was never a big deal. And I was fine. Like I didn't get straight A's. I still got pretty good grades. And
your mom may have cared a little bit more about the grades.
Yeah.
I told you guys, I don't care if you get C's.
Yeah.
Graduate high school. That's number one. That is a rule. Graduate high school. And number two, try your best. Try to get A's if you can. If you can't, get a B. That's fine.
Yeah. And even like later in high school, she stopped really caring as much.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. You know how many times I had to talk to her and tell her I got C's and I did okay. My friend failed high school. He did okay. This friend. And after I told her enough of that, she finally gave up on that whole pep talk about you got to get A's, you got to get to the right university. She realized, and that's why.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. Like as long as you graduate high school, you can even go just to like a community college.
If you want. You don't even have to do that if you don't want to. We didn't force any of this stuff. Just try your best. Really try your best. And learn, right? Because you said we did not put attention on academics. And I think it was Mark Twain who said something like he never let formal education get in the way of his learning. Mm-hmm. Something like that. You could learn a lot on your own, right? I mean, haven't we on our own around the kitchen table showing you guys sometimes the profit and loss statements of our businesses and showing you, look how much we sold last month and look how much we made. And you learn from that, right?
Things like that. That'll just like random things that are just good to know are things that I would definitely be showing my kids when they're young. Just that they could go to school and they just know so much more than everyone else. And then I definitely want all my kids to do sports. Hopefully running, but not everybody likes running.
Yeah, well, guess what? I wanted all of you to play baseball. And not one of you cares about baseball. It broke my heart. People have told me that I grew up with, and they know how much I love baseball growing up. They go, how could your three boys not one plays baseball? And not only that, you all hate it. I can't believe that. That the one sport I loved, you guys don't care about that.
I like watching it. I like going, but I just don't like playing.
Yeah, that's too bad. You played 1 year for the Cardinals when you were little.
But yeah, definitely sports, just being active, and hopefully running. Just because, like, I could see, like, since I've been doing it since I was little, if I have, like, a 5-6-year-old son, I see him and I can compare, like, how I was and hopefully try and make him better.
Yeah, the only one advice I want to give you on that, and I'm working with someone, coaching him privately right now, who loves soccer, and his son loves soccer. But his son has been forced into things by his dad that he shouldn't have been forced to. And I'll give you an example. And this was really cool because we did a session together. Him and his son came to work out with me. And swimming came up because we jumped in the pool after we worked out before we got in the ice plunge. And he said, oh, yeah, I had him in swimming from this age to this age. And I asked the kid, do you like swimming? He goes, no, I hate it. And I go, and you did it from, I think it was 5 to 13. Competitive swimming, and he hated every minute of it. And then I look over at the dad and I go, why'd you do that? And he goes, yeah, I messed up. I shouldn't have done that. He forced his son to swim because he said, I saw something in him. I saw his build at 5 years old. I saw this, I saw that. And he had a dream for his son. So I have dreams for you guys, but I don't know any paths. I hope they're well married, have great kids, healthy, working out, and making a lot of money. That's it. The rest, you guys decide the path. I just know like the end should be something like that, because that we can all agree on, right? Have a great wife, great kids, make money, and enjoy what you're doing and be healthy. So you guys have to carve out that path. So when you're a father, do that. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to tell other people like that what to do, but those are going to be my grandkids. So do that. Get them in that direction. Just like I used to tell you guys, here's my criteria for picking a wife. I would say that to you guys. I'd say, make sure she's pretty, because you got to think she's pretty. If you think she's ugly, you're not going to maybe like her as much. So those are my criteria. Make sure she's pretty. Make sure she's really kind to people, to you, to her parents, to everybody. Make sure she's kind. And we would run down a list. You may not remember it, but I've said this many, many times. And I hope it's in the subconscious working, so that the day you guys look for wives or husbands, for depending on which ones, I hope that it's like that, that it's been planted in there. And you have to choose the girl. You have to choose all those other things. But yeah, that's what I recommend for when you are a father. Just guide them, and hopefully they come out great.
Cool.
Any lessons you've learned, and we'll leave it at that, in your young age? You're 17. Most guys are still in high school at this age. You did well in school, so you skipped, and you're a little bit ahead of the game. You're making money. You bought your own car cash. You pay your own insurance. In a few months, when you turn 18, you're going to start what?
Paying rent.
Paying rent. I've been counting down for this day. That'll be 2 out of 4 paying rent. I mean, I'm running a slumlord situation here. Yeah, you guys are paying rent. I love it. So any lessons you've learned, anything you'd like to share with somebody who's trying to get ahead?
I mean, I feel like I can't really give advice to anyone that's already like older than me.
Oh, you could. You trust me. There's 50-year-olds that are going to learn a lot from this if they listen for once.
I mean, I wouldn't really know where to start. Like, there's a whole bunch of different aspects, but just something, since we were just on the topic of like everything that I pay myself, just like from what I've learned doing my whole life, saving money is just so huge. You don't have to be making that much money. Like I was pretty comfortable just working, making like $450 a week at Everglades, and I was happy with it just because I was finally making more money. But it's still not that much. It's just like $13 an hour, 40 hours. But it's just saving it. Like, I'm not really spending my money on clothes or like things that just aren't necessary. I was going out to eat. When that time I wasn't paying, but I was going out to eat when I was like once a week, and just saving money. And I feel like it's something so easy to say. And to me, it just feels easy because I don't see myself spending money on stupid things. But you see so many people, and it's like, how are you, like, who actually buys that? But then there's people that buy that. And yeah. Like, I mean, just saving money is so huge. Because, like, it was something so small. It was just me. I stopped going out to eat once a week, and I started making money. And it was just like the small difference of like what I was making versus what I was spending, and then just a small difference like that, and I see my bank account start going up.
Yeah. Now imagine applying this to all parts of your life, and I'll give you some examples. This might sound minor to some people, but I still believe this way, even though I've built what I've built. I don't let the water run, because my water bill goes up. If I walk away from the sink and the water's pouring, I just see money pouring down that drain. Why would I do that? It's wasteful. Same thing and you apply that. We don't have cable at home, right? We don't waste that money. What are we going to spend $250 to sit in front of a machine that makes you lazy and fat, right? Why would we do that? Yeah. We do things. We spend our money on trips and nice things that are worthwhile, and we don't even go all out. We're not staying at a 5-star hotel, or we keep it simple. So, So let me tell you a quick story. When I was 22 years old, I bought my first house, right? I was making $10.52 an hour. That was my radio station pay. This is 1998. It was okay. It wasn't bad for a 22-year-old. No college, just 3.5 years experience in radio. And so, and not even on air. I was just a board operator, and that's it. So I had that full-time job, but I was working overtime. Every single week, I was going well into overtime. I was doing 60, 70 hours every week. And then I did flea markets one day a week for a few hours when I could. I'd go sell some stuff. I'd lend money. I had all kinds of avenues. In summer, I would just take 2 full-time jobs, So I was making money. And at 22 years old, I saved $32,000 in cash. That's a lot of money. That was 20% of a $160,000 home. right? So I saved the down payment for a home. And, oh, by the way, I was paying $400 a month in rent and food to my parents. So the deal was I had to pay $200 a month in rent, and I had to spend $200 a month for family food, right? So I was spending $400 a month for the family, for my parents and me. And I was paying my car insurance, and I bought my car cash, and a very old used car, right? So I was doing all of these things, and I bought my house, and I moved from Oakland, California area down to LA. And I remember I started this job, and now I was making $12 an hour, super excited. And I took the master bedroom and bathroom for myself in this house, and I rented out the other 2 rooms. That paid my mortgage. And I remember thinking, this was pretty easy. I just worked hard for a few years. I saved every penny I ever made, and now I own a home at 22 years old, which, by the way, a few years later, that thing went up like $80,000. I sold it. It never cost me anything because I rented out the rooms. And what happened is I went on a work trip, just like down the street. We had to go to some meeting. And I didn't say anything. I was in the back of the car, and my coworker was driving, and she said, "Oh yeah, buy a house. That's only for rich people." This lady was making like $18 an hour. I was making $12 an hour, and I had a house. And she was well into her 40s.
Oh wow.
And I was 22. I didn't say a word. I go, how could she not buy a house? I came to this country without knowing the language. I grew up in a bad neighborhood, parents that didn't know how things worked, right? I didn't get help with homework because they couldn't help me. What are they going to read that in English? They couldn't. I had to figure everything out on my own. So that's why we've brought you guys up the way we've brought you up. Without having the real suffering, we've artificially put some suffering. Like, I don't know about your homework. I can't help you. Figure it out yourself. Your mom might not do that, but I did. I said, just do your best. See if you can figure it out. Because the kids whose mom would do their art project and they turned in these beautiful things, they didn't do them a favor. They were hurting them. I showed up with the ugliest projects every single time. And it's okay because it worked out really, really well. I'm sure I've developed a better life than I would have had I not been able to struggle. So struggles are good. You see that?
Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. Well, Adrian, thanks for being with me. You're the youngest. We'll see if that record stays. The youngest that I've interviewed. And I think you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.